killer who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
Keep your babies close to you. There's something out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is also today's missing person case is Courtney. Alright, what's up, Mob Crew? If you guys can hear me alright, please put a 1 in the chat. Make sure everything's working good. I heard the intro volume is a little low. Yeah, I'm going to have a new intro hopefully by tomorrow, if not Wednesday. Because there's a part in it where it kind of ramps up a little bit and it kind of, it's a little too loud. So I've been turning that down a little bit, and so I might have tweaked it down a little too much. So what's up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover murder, mystery to the paranormal. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the show. This channel has been growing like crazy these past few weeks, and I just want to say a special thank you to you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for subscribing and chatting and just it's so awesome. And special thanks to Steve from True Crime Web, who's been putting in a lot of work with his test controls when it comes to the Alex Murdaugh case. So today we're going to basically be focusing on the interrogation video that they played, what was it? Last week. I can't remember what day it was. It was towards the end, but I'm going to break down, there's certain parts of that interrogation video that there's some red flags, obviously, in my thumbnail, if you've seen. So I kind of basically clipped certain parts of the interrogation, and then we'll play those certain parts, and then we'll kind of chat about it. And then also I was looking at the 911 call, and I noticed something interesting, the way Alex's voice changes. So we'll look into that. I might even start off with that and see what you guys hear, because I hear Alex almost sounds like he's talking to somebody else. It's weird. We'll check it out here in just a second. So okay, turn up my volume to 42. I can get the I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, tons of red flags. There's so many, but we'll try to go over the top ones. So before we get started, we always like to feature the missing. So need it louder. Okay, turning it up now. Okay, so the volume should be better on that, hopefully. And let me get to this real quick. I'll have to watch this later. I hope you have a blessed Sunday. Hit that like button. Thank you so much, Tom, for the support. Good to see you, buddy. All right. And thank you to all the mods for all the hard work. We'll have a special members only show after this show, and we'll do a mod appreciation show for all your guys' amazing work. So, all right, let's get started. So first we like to feature the missing. And today's missing we have Colin Best, who is 26 years old, missing out of, let's see, where is he missing out of? Las Vegas, Nevada, last seen on January 28th. He is 26 years old, 5'7", 135 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. Kind of looks like the lead singer to Linkin Park a little bit. I think he does suffer from autism, if I saw the other one correctly. So let me go to this one here. So this one has him missing on February 7th. Okay, so I wonder if that was a boo-boo on the other one. So it looks like he was last seen on February 7th of this year. All the stats are the same. Did I have two different people? Why is that so different? It says January 8th. So last contact January 28th, but it says last seen on February 7th. So we'll go with February 7th. If you have any tips, please call 1-800-222-8477. Yeah, handsome guy, and it has him at 27. Is this two different people? No, it's the same guy. Has him 26. I've never seen this where it's information so different. It's clearly the same guy. Okay, and then one for here in Utah, we have Austin Madison, who went missing on January 27th of this year. He went missing out of Mount Dutton area of Kanab in Utah. That's kind of the southern part of Utah, like near Bryce Canyon area. Austin is 6'2", tall with skinny build, hazel eyes, brown hair. He was like out there snowshoeing, was in contact with some friends and family, I think on that 26th or 27th, and then they haven't heard from him since, sadly. He was going to possibly go to Kanab area, but doesn't sound like he made it. It looks like he was last seen up in this area, which is Garfield County. They found his truck and I think his footprints, but they still haven't found him, sadly. Oops, let me go back. So if you have any information, please call 801-682-5657. 5675, excuse me. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the 911 call. And this is going to be, because the volume's kind of weird because it's playing from the video at the court. And so the volume for the investigators for the detectives okay, but it's for Alex it's a little low. So the volume's kind of cranked up. So let me know if it's like too loud for you guys. But I'm going to start with the 911 call and show you guys what I noticed here. I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think in here. Let me see.
Not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Are they close, ma'am?
Yeah, they've been en route with you ever since you've got on the phone with me. I have multiple people coming out there to you. Okay. I don't want you to touch them at all, okay? I don't know if you've already touched them, but I don't want you to touch them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I already touched them trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay? And you sure they're not breathing?
Okay, yeah, I turned everything down just so I didn't blow your guys' eardrums. So I'd rather have it low and then turn it up for you guys than have it reverse and blow your eardrums out. So I just turned it up now. So as you can see, this is kind of towards the end of the 911 call. Notice these little spikes here. This is where he's, typically hysterical, and this is, basically the common what you see throughout most of the 911 call, this kind of higher range. But then notice how these little parts here, and this is at the very end of the phone call, notice how it drops completely. And if you've followed this case, you know that there's plenty of times where Alex is like hysterical, and then just on a dime he changes, and his demeanor is back to like normal, and then he goes back to being hysterical. And so this is something I wanted to play because I thought I hear him saying it's either what or why. So it's coming up here in just a second.
Is he moving at all, your son? I know you said that she was shot, but what about your son?
Nobody's. They're not. Neither one of them's moving.
What is your telephone number?
Okay, it's coming up right here. So I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, what you hear. I hear why, but sometimes I hear what, but it sounds like he's talking to somebody else.
And does anything look out of place?
It came quick.
Ma'am,
Now I'm going to extract it and make it bigger and replay it over and over. So it's coming up in just a second.
not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Are they close, ma'am?
Yeah, they've been en route with you ever since you've got on the phone with me. I have multiple people coming out there to you.
Nobody's. They're not. Neither one of them's moving.
What is your telephone number?
Okay, here it comes.
And does anything look out of place?
It sounds like he's saying what or why. And now I'm going to crank that up right here.
Ma'am, not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay. And does anything look...
See, you hear that? It's like why or what? And it's so soft. And then after she asks this question, his demeanor is back to normal for pretty much the rest of the call.
look out of place? And does
See? Why or what? Let me know what you guys hear.
anything look out of place? And does anything look out of place? And does anything look out of place? And does anything look out of place? And does...
Doesn't that sound like he's... Yeah, so that's why I think a lot of people agree. Why? But isn't that sound like he's... is there somebody with him there? We've never kind of discussed that on this channel, if there's a possible, second person, which me and Steve are going to kind of look into other possibilities. I know we've been heavy on the, prosecution side and doing the reenactments, but we are going to try to do some tests. But you guys hear, yeah, is that so weird though? Like he sounds like he's talking to somebody. It just my opinion, of course, but I'll replay that for you one more time.
Nobody's. They're not. Neither one of them's moving.
What is your telephone number? And does anything look out of place?
Ma'am, not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay. And does anything look out of place? 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 And does anything look...
Okay, I turned it up a couple times at the very end for you, Cammie. So weird, I never heard that before. I've heard that 911 call so many times, but never noticed that. And I mean, it could be nothing, but it is weird how his demeanor changes, and just so odd. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and break down this interview. And like I said, I've got so many notes that I have from this. And what I'm going to do, let me get rid of this real quick. In a second. So I'm gonna put the timeline, just a basic timeline, on the right hand side above my head here, so you guys can kind of see the basic timeline here, from him coming to work at the bottom, him calling 911, because there's so many inconsistencies with him. So, okay, that should be set up pretty good. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and break this down. Like I said, it's an hour long, but we're not watching the whole thing. We're just breaking down the bits that I discovered that are really odd. And there's a few big ones towards the end. And just to kind of give you a heads up, they talk about how they find the shotguns. Not only do they find the shotguns, but when they check to see what kind of ammo's in the guns, it just so happens a few of them are loaded with 2 different types of ammunition, like birdshot, buckshot, which is what happened to Paul. He was shot with, a birdshot and then a buckshot, or vice versa. And finding at least 2 to 3 shotguns with that same ammunition, it's one thing to find that they're shot with the family weapons, and then they find the same kind of ammo that's all scattered around their house that they use. It's the same ammo that's used on Paul and Maggie. But then to find these shotguns that are loaded, mixed with, 2 different types of ammunition, that doesn't look good.
So you left the office?
Sir.
Okay. What time did Paul?
So that's what I was thinking when at first, but you would think like, why, it could be as simple as that, but to me, I feel like I don't know if, I don't know. It seems odd to me.
I'll get home that night.
Me and Paul got there about the same time. Maybe he was a little bit later than me.
Okay, let me know how the volume is on this. I can turn it up a little more if necessary. Actually, I probably will do that because he's, like I said, you can hear them pretty good, but he's a little bit harder to hear because he's the furthest away.
Or maybe a little bit earlier than me, but it was close to the same time.
And y'all rode around the farm. I believe you said 2 different trucks or 2 different vehicles.
So,
What were those 2 different vehicles?
we rode in the white pickup truck, and we rode in the black pickup truck.
In either one of those, did you see any long guns? Take your time.
It's okay.
Did you see any rifles or shotguns?
I don't remember seeing any that day, no. We did have pistols.
Yeah, because I know you said you went target practicing.
Well, not really target practice,
Okay,
just shoot.
Yeah.
We rode around for a couple hours, just looked at everything. All the stuff Paul did on the farm, and we just spent, time together. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
Hey, you can do this? I can do it.
Interesting.
We started out going to look at the sunflowers because we was worried about sunflowers. That was the first thing we looked at. And then we just rode. We just rode and looked at. I mean, we hadn't done it in a while. We just rode, talked, and rode, talked.
What you talk about?
Everything, you know. Just one of the main things, he'd been having trouble. His feet had swelled up, and we were worried about blood pressure and stress on him. And I mean, he handled all this stuff.
So keep in mind, this is an interrogation. This is what 2 months after the shootings, and they're still trying to get a timeline to help solve this this terrible tragedy. And of course, once again, just like the previous interviews with Alex, is he's not giving specific times. You'll notice in these, when he's asked about something, he's like, oh yeah, it was before she came. Oh, it was after, probably before. He uses before and after a lot, not really ever using specific times. And so that's going to be one of the big things in this. So I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to my first part here. Okay.
Not too long after that, Blanc had made dinner.
Let me go back just a little bit.
It's pretty well. She was going to stay at Edisto.
So what kind of surprised you that she came back?
That didn't totally surprise me. She'd let me know earlier that she was coming home. But then I found out later, wow, she came home.
She was concerned for you.
Sir?
What time did y'all sit down and eat dinner?
Not too long after that.
See, so this is the most common thing. Before and after, when he's asked, what time did this happen? What time, it's either before or after or around that time. It's one of his biggest answers, and it's so frustrating. You would think if he is innocent, you would think he'd want to get as much detail and timeline so they can figure out what's going on. But of course, he starts just giving these vague answers, just like, oh, I can't see the name Kat was saying.
Unc had made dinner. And so the three of us ate dinner together.
What was the conversation around the dinner table?
Normal. Regular stuff. I mean, I can't tell you exactly, but...
How was Maggie's appointment in Charleston that day?
I think it had gone good. We didn't really get the chance to talk about it in detail. She's been having...
Yeah, of course, I'm no behavior analyst, but yeah, watching, which, they have a great channel, the, Behavior Panel, I think that's the channel name, with the 4 different, analysts. They are amazing, great channel. They did one video of the first interview. I believe it was the one that night or early morning the next day, just after the shootings. They broke that video down, and I've seen them tear some people apart, like Casey Anthony and a few others. But man, they tore into Alex. I mean, there were so many things that I didn't even, obviously it's a profession, but there's so many things like with the 4. I mean, one guy knows like the different muscles that can kind of show deception, and he noticed that. Of course, you can't really see him. It's not the best quality here. But yes, one of the arms folded. This is a guarded position. Means he's uncomfortable and he's closed up. That's not a good sign for when you're trying to get the truth out of somebody. So, yeah, great catch. So I'm just going to quickly go over just the basic timeline real quick. So we got 12 o'clock, approximately a little after. Alex arrived for work. Then he, of course, was confronted at some time at work by his bookkeeper about, money missing from his partners. And then that gets interrupted with news of his father becoming terminal. And so Then he, gets on the phone. Then he leaves at a little after 6 o'clock. Leaves at 6:24. Gets home, I think, around 6:40. And then Paul arrives around 7 p.m., I think a little before. And then we have Alex and Paul together for about basically just a little over an hour, even though, he says sometimes 2 hours when asked about how long they're driving around. And he always, every time he's asked, he's like, we rode and rode and rode. And then we have Maggie arriving at 8:17. And man, they must have not ate for very long, because with her getting home like right at 8:17, I kind of thought she got home slightly earlier, just like around 8 p.m. But it sounds like she got there at 8:17 according to her Mercedes. So then they must have ate really quick, and then they were out there at the kennels by like 8:35 ish. And then we have the video, of course, at 8:44, the kennel video with Paul, Maggie, and Alex. Then minutes later, we have Maggie and Paul being shot. Then Alex would leave for his mother's house not too long after that at 9:06. He was there for 20 minutes. He comes back. He leaves at 9:44. Takes him about 60 minutes to get back. And he's home at pretty much right at 10 on the spot. And then he calls 911 at 10:06. So just a quick overview of the timeline. All right, let's continue.
Did you watch TV that night?
Okay, back it up just a little bit. So if you guys caught one of my videos, I noticed that, and I wish I had more room. I'd put in some other extra information, but remember, he turns his phone off between 8:09 and 9:02, almost an hour, and which is odd in itself because this is a guy who's always on his phone. But his phone shows no activity between 8:09 and 9:02. Now, according to him, he took a nap after they ate, so it was clearly after 8:17, according to Alex's timeline. So his phone's already off. But in the first interview, he says that when he goes to take a nap, he's watching TV and he was on his phone, which obviously would be impossible because his phone was turned off.
I don't know exactly how that went. I stayed on the couch and I dozed off. And then I got up.
Did you watch TV that night?
I know the TV was, I believe the TV was on. But I wasn't watching it.
Stop right there, please. And I'm not going to ask you to repeat that, but this next question regarding a tree video.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and skip it forward here a little bit. Like I said, if you're just tuning in, this is the interrogation that they played. This is a little after 2 months since the shooting. I went through the video. It's like an hour and a half approximately. And we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I just broke down the highlights, all the little areas that I found red flags.
You tried to call Paul, and then you...
Okay.
Before you let you go?
No, I didn't.
With her not responding to you and thinking that she might ride with you, why didn't you?
I don't remember having plans that Maggie was going to ride with me. But maybe she had told me that she was that night. I don't recall that. I don't remember that specifically, but it wasn't. She didn't normally go with me. It's not like we had plans that she was going to ride with me.
where she was going.
So that's a huge red flag, because we learned from Maggie's sister, one of the main reasons she came over that night, Maggie, is because he found out the news of his father, and that they were going to go and, she was going to come over, and then they were going to go over and check on him. And so that was the whole reason. So this little clip here is a huge red flag, because this is, not true. Back that up one more time.
I don't recall that. I don't remember that specifically, but it wasn't, she didn't normally go with me. It's not like we had plans that she was going to ride with me, or that she was going.
So moving forward to the next one, and like I said, there's some big ones here that I discovered coming up here. Like I said, the shotgun with all the different rounds that they found, I think is huge.
Turn right, that's how I believe I went.
Should right on Moselle to 63.
No, sir, right on Moselle.
Yeah.
The normal way is right on Moselle to Dobson Road.
Okay.
Dobson Road to 63. 63 into Barnville, left on whatever the road is that goes to the school.
So one of the reasons why I clipped this part is I thought it was so interesting that when he's asked about the details of the events, he's so vague. But then when it comes to this drive over to his mother's, and I'm sure he makes it a lot, so it's, something that's common, but he is so detailed when it comes to describing the ride and all the different turns. He knows, what turn this is, what's around there. Notice how very detailed he is. And then, of course, when it comes back to the, asking about the rest of the night, it's vague. So Sonia, I love that name. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Rose, thank you so much for the $2. Yeah, it popped it up. Okay, I can't click on it though for some reason. Thank you so much, Rose.
Right. And then either 63 or left on the road that goes down, and then on 63.
How often did you go visit your mother that night?
It wasn't infrequent. It wasn't all the time. Visit her, all times a day.
Just checking on her, especially with your dad being.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and skip it forward here a little bit. Okay, here we go.
Chocolate puppy, I think.
Was the leg broken?
Not that I know of.
I can certainly see why something might be wrong with his tail, because when I was out there, he was chasing his tail and looking through the fence and trying to grab it. So that was all that puppy energy. When you got back to Moselle, which driveway did you enter?
I went into brick gates.
And Maggie and Paul weren't there. Were there vehicles at the house?
Yes, sir.
How did they get down there that night?
I was hoping you were going to be able to tell me that.
So this is interesting. This is something that me and Steve are looking into, because there's just something. And thank you guys so much that watched the my timeline video. I feel pretty good about it. There's a few things that I probably would like to tweak now, especially now knowing it sounds like they most likely were, at least him and Paul were driving around in the trucks, which I said the ATV, so I kind of got that wrong. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but everything else, like the timeline's pretty solid. I think I had Maggie arriving slightly earlier because I didn't have that Mercedes time frame yet. So, but everything else is pretty sound on that video. I'm happy with. But what's interesting is these vehicles, and the reason I mention this is the tracks that we see. And like I said, me and Steve are going to look into it, but we see when they arrived there, the first responders, they have the cameras on, and we see what looks like two different tracks in the wet grass. And, of course, even the defense mentioned, did you guys really look, I guess they didn't really do much research into the tracks, which is a shame. But it just makes me wonder if that were those from the ATV or those from possibly him driving Paul's truck around, which could have been a possibility.
The only thing that I can come up with is that black truck. Is that Buster's old black truck?
Yes, sir.
Does it normally stay down at the farm, or does it stay at the house?
Both. Both.
Did Maggie ever walk down there?
Maggie walked down there a lot. But Paul, it would, if you showed me some proof that Paul walked down there that night, I would be surprised. Absolutely surprised.
Well, thinking about Paul's health concerns, do you think Maggie could have gotten him to walk that night? Say, come on, let's walk with me this one time.
It's possible, but again, that would be highly, highly unusual. He would have talked her into riding. Been highly unusual for him to walk.
So when you were at the kennels, you were just down there with Paul, and you left and went back to the house for dinner.
Paul and I were just knocking around up at the shop, the shed, the kennels, and just the whole property. And that was before dinner, yes, sir.
And you didn't go back down there after dinner until you returned trip from visiting your mother?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to go forward a little bit. We're getting to the juicy stuff here. Just a second. There's the next one. I have my logos. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, yeah, this is when I have them bigger like this. I kind of put those in there to let me know, like little things that he sounds deceitful on, and then the bigger ones are the ones that he kind of tells something's off. Major red flags.
Cool. And we also talked about that night. You returned back to the house to get a shotgun.
Yes, sir.
What door did you enter?
The best that I can remember, I went in the side door, and I went straight to the gun cabinet.
Were you focused on any particular shotgun, or you just grabbed one?
I just grabbed one.
How do you normally load your shotguns? Avid hunters load shotguns special ways, different types of munitions, and I'm just asking you how you load yours.
I normally put it in the chamber and push the button.
What type of shot?
So this is huge. They're asking him, what kind of buckshots or what kind of shells do you put in your shotgun? And if, like I said earlier, Paul was shot with 2 different types of ammunition. It was a bird shot and a buckshot. And I'm not a big firearms person, so I apologize. I don't know much about ammunition, but the big problem is one, they were most likely murdered with their own weapons, and 2, when it comes to the shotguns and the fact that Paul was shot with 2 different types of buckshot that were back to back in the same shotgun, when they go to check these other shotguns, or at least two or three of them, in this interview they talk about, when they went to unload them, they noticed that there's 2 different types of ammunition in the actual shotgun. You know, it's not just all buckshot or all bird shot. So I think that's, you know, that's quite interesting that you know, they find these shotguns with kind of the same thing that happened with Paul.
Do you load?
All kinds. I mean, I've loaded bird shot, buckshot, slugs, skeet shot
at the same time. I mean, would you load like a bird shot and a buckshot in the same load?
Not normally. I mean, normally you put them in, you know, a load for whatever you're hunting.
Mm-hmm. The reason I'm asking about that.
Okay, so he's going to bring it up. I'm just going to grab these real quick. Thank you so much, Elaine, for being a member for 8 months. Gosh, that goes by fast. Thank you so much. And new member, Hope, thank you so much for becoming a member. And there's one more I'm trying to find. Left-handed RN, thank you so much for the $5. And Sandy, thank you so much for the $20. That is so sweet. You guys are so awesome. All right, for you just tuning in, we're just breaking down this interrogation video. Right now, they're going to ask him about the shotguns that they kind of recover from the gun room, and notice that there's this similarity with not just finding one type of shell like loaded in the shotguns. It's 2 different types of brands of shells.
The shot shells that we recovered that night, one was a turkey load, one was buckshot.
I understood that.
The shotgun that you had with you that night, there was a bird shot and a buckshot. When Jeff went back the next day, I'm not sure which attorney it was, pointed out that there had been a shotgun laying on the pool table that he had put away, and pointed out that ammunition that was with that, and it was a buckshot and a bird shot. And then the shotgun that we took for potential comparison, it was also loaded with a bird shot and a buckshot. So I have all of these consistent loads along with what's that in the feed room. I call it the feed room at the kennels. Is that what you call it?
That's
Okay.
something good enough.
Okay. I just want, if I say feed room, I just want you to know what I'm talking about.
The night I grabbed the
Oh, is that right? Is that what he was lying about? Oh, okay. That is right. You guys are right. See, when I'm working, I mean, I'm listening to the trial, but sometimes I'm working on a video, so I'm not, my attention is kind of divided. And I heard him, because yeah, of course they can lie to people when doing interviews, and I didn't know that's what he was lying about. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe I can't make as much of a big deal out of that. But still, the fact that they have that type of ammunition that was found in the home, that still doesn't look good. But I'm glad you guys said that, so I don't want to put any misinformation out there. Chris, did you hear Alex say Buster on the kennel video? I have not. If we get a chance, we'll take a look at it. So, interesting.
shells that I could get
ones found on your property.
So you now believe that those guns, that Paul's guns were used?
Yes.
Okay.
Back to
There were also cartridge casings found by your house, by the side door to the gun room, and at the shooting range.
Okay.
And the ones by the house and some of the ones found at the shoot range are confirmed matches to the ones found by Maggie.
Okay.
So, which gets another concern. I've got the same load as the shot shells in multiple guns and 300 blackout that match ones found on your property.
So you now believe that those guns, that Paul's guns were used?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's Alex even basically admitting that most likely that the guns that the family weapons were used on Paul and Maggie. I think that's huge.
And missing.
And I understand.
And so that means if you don't think he's guilty, that means that somebody would have tried to, you know, if this was some kind of revenge for the boating accident or whatever, that means that most likely or probably that they came onto the property not armed and then went and grabbed their own firearms and was able to shoot them. I don't know. It's so hard to get my head around that. That, you know, somebody would, you know, if they have intentions to harm Paul and or Maggie, that they would come onto the property. I'm sure they would know the family and know that they are avid hunters, that they would be heavily armed, you know, meaning the Murdaughs. And the fact that they would sneak into Paul's truck while they're at the kennels, and I'm assuming, let's say Paul's truck's there, it would be behind the kennels, so they'd have to sneak around. I know it's, you know, it's surrounded by a wooded area, but you still have the open area, plus you've got the dogs. You would think that would alert to anything. I don't know, it just don't make sense. Although we are still going to look at some possibilities of, you know, on the defense side.
And somebody had seen that gun recently, but, you know, and I'd asked Buster about it. I believe that gun has been gone since back before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move forward here. Okay, here we go.
I believe that I went straight home. So, you know, my car, have y'all been able to get Chevrolet to download my...
Okay, back this up just a little bit. So this is huge. This is him. Now, this is why one of my biggest problems, and at the end of this, I'm going to play Kaylee Goncalves' father and how his emotions are on how badly he wants to catch the, the killer of his daughter. And so we're going to do kind of a comparison between the two, because this supposedly, you know, if you think he's innocent, he just lost his son and wife, and you think you would do anything to help find the person responsible. I don't know how the car data from your drive, from the data from his SUV, is really going to help, other than, help pin down his timeline. But how is that going to help catch the person responsible? So you'll notice he gets kind of, excited. I wouldn't say excited, but he's very forthcoming when it comes to, the data with the SUV.
That's right. So, if it was 5:30 or 6, I don't think I was still there at 6 o'clock. But, if I was, it wasn't long after that. So, I believe that I went straight home. So, you know,
Okay.
my car, have y'all been able to get Chevrolet to download my?
We're still working on that.
Okay.
It's a long process.
Well, I mean, I got home early enough for Paul and I to ride the property for a substantial length of time. You know, more than an hour. I thought probably a couple of hours that we were together, but somewhere.
Did you go down in the river?
We rode down all the roads. I believe that we rode all over.
So not very detailed. In my opinion, I would think you would remember the last moments with your son and wife. Would be pretty vivid. That's just my opinion, of course. So it just, to me, you know, whenever they're trying to get you know, a timeline and a detailed timeline of what's going on, you know, he, you know, says we rode, but doesn't say exactly, you know, hey, you know, we were at this spot for this amount of time. Gosh, I thought I saw maybe something moving in the bushes, you know, whatever. But it's none of that. And then he can't really narrow down the timeline. I mean, I get people mix up timelines. That happens. But, like, you know, he goes from, like, you know, maybe 20 minutes to 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. I mean, it's all over the place. As we see up in the top right, I kind of have just an approximate of the timeline here. And basically, Paul arrives about 7. So it sounds like Alex and Paul rode around for at least, I would say, until 8:15, maybe a little bit earlier. So at least an hour, not much more than that, though. So the 2 hours is way off. Maybe an hour and a half, or about an hour and 15 minutes. But so let me quickly grab some of these real quick. Jimmy, oops. I think, and I have to be careful wording this. I think maybe it was going to be MS, but he couldn't do it himself, coward. It's possible. I've kind of thought about that myself too. Did he try to make it look like that when he fired the first shot that was such an upward angle towards Paul, and maybe he messed up? And yeah, I honestly, it's not a bad theory, and he botched it. But yeah, let's see. We got True Crime Web in here. If you carry a firearm regularly, you would never allow a stranger between you and your firearm. Yeah, that's why I think either that the guns that were used on them were either in Paul's truck that was parked close to there, which I kind of left out on my one video, but or they were in that ATV side by side or whatever, and they would have been just right there. So it doesn't make sense that you know, perpetrators would come onto the property and then take the risk of, you know, going for their guns, you know, without them being, you know, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense.
We rode all over.
Okay, let's skip forward here. Oh.
Giving you some answers.
Well, I mean, I do know more than I did, for sure. So, yes, I mean, some of those questions have certainly, yes, sir.
What other questions do you have that?
I would like to know exactly what happened.
Me too. The best that I've been able to put together.
So he doesn't want to catch this SUB, this piece of crap that killed or shot his son and wife. He just wants to know what happened. I mean, I'm sorry. It just doesn't, like I said, at the end of this, I'm going to play the father of Kaylee. and you're going to see a huge difference between the attitudes of who really wants to find their, the perpetrator.
Tail looks like. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I believe Paul was shot first. For the simple fact of where he was located.
How many times was he shot?
Twice.
I thought he shot Maggie first because they could tell he shot her in the back of the head.
What? You said he thought he shot Maggie first, or Maggie was shot first?
Alex said that he thought Maggie was shot first because she had been shot in the back of the head.
Go ahead.
So yeah, why would you want to be thinking about those details? You want to be catching your perpetrator, and I know I have to be careful the way I want to say. Like I said, YouTube's been really rough on us YouTubers, and we have to be change our vernacular because if we use certain words, it just won't. It won't do. It'll just tear down the video, which is a shame. It's true crime, and I can't speak freely and openly, so I always have to kind of work around certain words, sadly. Thank you so much, Sonia. Please, Mob Crew, keep doing live stream. I absolutely admire your channel. Thank you so much. For those that are new to the channel, I do a little bit of both, half and half, literally. I do half live shows and half regular uploads because I know some people like live shows. Some people like just the short, to the point videos, which I do as well. And then some people like both. So if you like both, then you'll love this channel. But I do, I do videos for, make content for both sides.
We may honestly never know who was first, but I think it was Paul, for the simple fact he wouldn't have, if he saw his mother getting shot, he wouldn't have run to that feed room. And that's where one of the guns was. But, we've already established family guns were used. And if they came from Paul's truck was at the house. So where were they?
And how did he get down there?
Yeah, how did they get down there?
Did you just ask him, we've established family guns were used?
Yes, I did.
Objection's overruled. Proceed.
What was his response?
Sorry.
Would nothing be the answer?
Correct.
Yeah, so wouldn't you be shocked to find out that your own weapons were used against your loved ones and he has no reaction? Or doesn't say anything. I don't know about his reaction. We can look at it again.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's normal for y'all to leave your keys in the cars. However, if somebody showed up and did this, you're not going to take Paul's truck back to the house and leave the key in it.
Indeed.
And how did they put it down there? We've already established.
Okay, so I'm going to go forward a little bit here. There's about 5 more little spots in this. Okay, there's the next one. Oh, this is the big one. Okay, this is... All right, let me grab these real quick. Joey Brewer, thank you so much for becoming a member. And One Who Sees, Mob Crew Love, thank you so much for being a member for 2 months. I think I've got everybody. Sorry, we got a big chat. What do we got? 1,100 in here. Let me know, mods, how the speed is. Okay, this is the big one.
We have a what they call a partial download. Yeah. Because we don't have the passcode.
Sure.
We can't do a full extraction.
Do you think, so, my thought was that I don't know who's required to authorize Apple to open it.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was that big thing where they weren't going to do it.
Okay, so this is huge. All right, maybe I'll back it up just a little bit so you guys can understand the context. So they're talking about unlocking Paul's phone because right now they don't know the code. We don't know if Alex really knew the code. Maybe not, because I would think he'd probably try to erase stuff, so he probably didn't know the code. But I guess Apple has a thing where, they don't like to hand out people's codes or whatever. I'm not sure the full context about that. But anyway, long story short, they're talking about how they're going to have to do brute force. And basically, if you followed this trial, they had somebody putting in numbers. You only have so many times a day that you can try to unlock a phone before it locks out for the day or whatever, something like that. And I can't remember how long it took them, but it took them a while. And because there's only so many number combinations. But anyway, so they're talking about Paul's phone, and notice his demeanor when it comes to talking about his phone and their progress on it. So I'm going to back it up just a little bit. And so far, he was kind of sitting forward facing the detective and, making eye contact. When they start talking about his phone, he does this for the next 5 minutes, or I don't know, 2-3 minutes.
Whoever we need to will sign whatever authorization you need.
So you had said that, or maybe Jim told me or something about y'all were able to get in Paul's phone just with a search warrant.
We have a what they call a partial download.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the passcode.
Sure.
We can't do a full extraction.
Do you think, so, my thought was that I don't know who's required to authorize Apple to open it.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was that big thing where they weren't going to do it.
Yes,
for whatever case. But I thought that if we, I think Maggie owned the phone. I think it was in her name. The account was in her name.
Well, you have to have your own separate iCloud account for each phone, and we've done that for Maggie's, Paul's, and Alex.
Okay.
iCloud accounts.
Yeah.
To see if there's anything in there.
Yeah.
There was nothing in Paul's. I'm still waiting on Maggie's.
Maggie did back hers up and stuff. I know that. So.
Does that mean Paul didn't back his up?
Probably.
But what my thought was, and I don't know if this is even possible, but if we get the estate and we get the personal representative who is now the authorized person to authorize it to be opened. I mean, surrounded by 100 lawyers, we get a probate done like that. And
Okay, I think this is the part that I found this is probably one of the most interesting parts of this interrogation to me. So they're trying to talk about ideas of of whatever, working the phones, probably trying to get some data or whatever. And here you've got him just kind of sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like he wants to deflect and start asking about how Paul and Maggie, did they suffer? And I feel like how's that helping? So anyway, just it's weird.
have the powers of appointment done in 2 days, and we can authorize whatever it is you need to open.
And that might be beneficial.
So
I think Randy and I, or somebody and I, talked about that
yeah,
before.
Yeah, well, and I said I'd do it. If any of us could do it.
Yeah. Who would be the representative? Just somebody at a law firm?
Probably one of your brothers, I would think.
I think so.
So for Maggie and Paul's estate,
Yeah.
probably me or
I mean,
one
I
of
would
my
do
brothers,
it.
but whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Whoever it
Yeah.
is will do whatever
Yeah.
y'all need to do to No, it won't be anybody that'll be on.
Okay, let me skip forward. Maybe it's the next part. Okay, yeah, here it is. This has got to be it.
Well, I mean, y'all been taking a licking in the press about not disclosing stuff, but Jesus Christ, man.
I don't have anything to disclose.
Well, and why are you going to tell the bad guy what you got?
Thank you.
I mean, I just don't understand it. I mean, look.
Nobody wants to know more than this man right here and this man right here.
I know.
Everybody else.
I believe that.
Everybody else.
David, how far apart in time were the shot? And did one of them know the other one was dead?
See, this makes me wonder. This is so weird. He's not asking questions you would think, like, what clues do you guys have? Did you guys check out those tracks, whatever? He's asking, it's almost like he's probing to see what the detective knows about the crime scene. This question is just, to me, another deflection. And of course, I'm no expert. I'm not a behavior analysis. But this is just so weird.
Been shot.
I think it's impossible to answer that question. I think it is impossible.
But you certain Paul was shot first?
I believe he was. I'm not certain. I believe he was.
Maggie would have known that then, wouldn't she? You don't know how soon afterwards she was shot?
And it all depends on how many shooters were there. I mean, if we're looking at two shooters, it could have happened at the same time.
Yeah, see, I think totally agree. He's probing, and now they're talking about two shooters. Maybe was that his intention in the beginning, or was that, obviously we may probably never know what the motive is, or the intentions, or what exactly how it went down, sadly. But yeah, was that in his intention to make it look like two shooters? The height thing is a little weird. I would think if you were trying to disguise your height, because he shot Paul, or assuming he shot Paul, it was at an upward angle, I would think you'd be kind of shooting forward. I don't know. I guess it'd be kind of the same thing, but I don't know. It's weird that he's probing and asking these questions, and here they're kind of discussing just before this about ideas and what they could do, and then here he keeps coming back to do you know this about Maggie, or how far they are apart, or did they suffer? Just weird probing questions.
Looking at one shooter, it would have happened. And I know you can't help but think about it, but don't beat yourself up over getting an answer. It's not going to do anything to you.
When I ask you, now that you talk to me, are you willing to, if some of my family, Maggie's?
Okay, just a couple more here. I'm only going to go for another 15 minutes here because I've got a special members live show we're going to do. But we're going to have a big show tomorrow. We'll have Steve on from True Crime Web, and we're going to have some more experiments just like we do every Monday, so super excited. Also, for those that might have missed the first part of the show, we're going to play the 911 call again, see what you guys think about it. I think it's kind of interesting. All right, skip it forward. Okay, this is when he gets asked the big question. This is when the detective confronts him.
Maybe.
Do you still have his number?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have his number in my phone.
Does Marion, I know they live on Wamala, does Marion work?
No, she doesn't work. And they're kind of between Wadmalaw I mean, they're residents of the state of Florida, but
Okay.
they're here as much as they're in Greenville a lot right now.
Yeah, because of grandbaby.
The baby, that's right.
Okay, so here comes the question. Did he do it? So he's going to get asked it for the... I don't know if this is the first time. I'm assuming this is the first time the detectives asked him this question. So I wish we had a better video quality because, I mean, clearly, you know, they call him Big Red. He's you know, kind of got, you know, he already looks red, but it just makes you wonder. He kind of looks a little redder, but here he's going to get asked the big question. Real quick. Dee Dee Sutton, thank you so much for becoming a member. You are so awesome.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. I just a few more questions.
Okay.
Did you kill Maggie?
No. Did I kill my wife?
Yes, sir.
No, David.
Do you know who did?
No, I do not know who did.
Did you kill Paul?
No, I did not kill Paul.
Do you know who did?
No, sir, I do not know who did. Do you think I killed Maggie?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts
I
take me.
understand that. And you think I killed Paul?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts take me, and I don't have anything that points to anybody else at this time.
So does that mean that I am a suspect?
You were still in, like I told Corey earlier, you were still in this.
You would think if you were innocent and just got asked if you shot and, you know, harmed your baby boy and your, you know, your one true love, you would think he would be pissed. Just in my opinion. And like I said, we're gonna play just a little bit more, and then we're gonna show the father of Kaylee Goncalves and his little interview of the pain he's going through, and see the huge difference between the two different mannerisms.
With everything that we've talked about, with the family guns, the ammunition,
right?
Nobody else's DNA,
right?
I have to put my beliefs aside and go with the facts.
And it's almost like I know he has that nervous tick nodding, so you never know if he's crying or what he's doing with that nodding. It's clearly a nervous tick, but it's just weird. He's not defensive about this question. Almost doesn't seem surprised at it. Okay, so now I'm going to play an example of what I feel like. Now I know everybody's going to respond differently to, to these types of situations. But here, just look at the difference between two people that you would think would want to catch their
That I can lead and ask you.
The perpetrator.
After that last question, do you say, well, I understand, I mean...
Look me in his eyes. I have no doubt he's working as hard as he can, but somebody isn't communicating. There's nothing being released. It seems like they're trying to suppress the story. We want to put rewards out. They're like, don't do that. Yeah, I get it. Your town doesn't want to have reward posters posted all over when you come and you do your rush. You're not going to get a lot of students if they see those things. But this community is not going to heal until this guy's pulled off the streets. It ain't going to happen. Think it through. It's not going to happen. He has to be off the streets. We all are working for the same thing.
When was the last time y'all heard from the police?
Thursday, we looked at our phone records. We want to be accurate. We don't want to sell anyone out.
About 3 o'clock on Thursday.
And did y'all get an update from the police about the investigation?
There was nothing. We have no updates for you.
There was no update. They needed me to sign a waiver form so that they could investigate something.
Some mail.
That was mail related. So we're working with them. We're not selling them out. We love our law support.
the FBI, everybody that's here. We just have no information as family, and it gets tough day after day after day. I mean, every day you just wake up and think today's the day.
But if you don't have the information, people do know. If they don't, then the community. This is a community that is IT based. These guys live a digital footprint like we've never. All of us older people, we don't know how much that digital footprint could be helpful. So that's what we ask.
And look at that. He's already thinking. He's like, yeah, digital footprint. He's thinking of ideas. How are we going to catch this guy? I want to catch this SOB, this piece of garbage. And you just don't get that from Alex at all. It's just so nonchalant, complete 180. And to me, it just, and yeah, I feel terrible, absolutely heartbroken for these. At least, hopefully, it didn't take them long to find the person, hopefully most likely responsible for this tragedy. But just apples and oranges when it comes to, who wants to really catch their, the perpetrator. Like I said, I had to use different words. But anyway, if you missed the first part of the show, we'll play that 911 call one more time. There's, I know, I feel so bad for him. So here's just something I kind of noticed. It was weird in the 911 call. Actually, I might do it this way so you guys can see how I broke this down here. Okay, 1 second here. Alex saying what? Okay. So what we got here, is this it? Yeah, this is it. So now usually most of the call, the 911 call, you'll see this, higher level, because obviously he sounds hysterical, Alex does. But notice this little calm demeanor, and this is kind of towards the end of the 911 call. And anyway, there's a spot in here where it sounds like he's saying either what or why. I think we've kind of agreed more. I think more people agreed it sounds like why. But go ahead and take a listen. So we'll go ahead and play this. She kind of asked for the phone number. We'll start it here. It's right here. It's real low. I'll turn it up. As you can see, I've got the higher levels over here.
What is your telephone number?
Oh, it's right here.
And does anything look out of place?
So I know some of you might not have heard that, so I'm going to make it a little louder for you.
And does anything look out of place? And does anything look out of place? And does anything look out of...
Okay, and we get it a little bit louder, but he says either why or what. Right here.
And does anything look out of place? And does anything look out of place? And does...
So weird. Almost like he's talking to somebody, but it could be, who knows? It could, like I said, someone mentioned it could just be him going, why, but you would think he'd be screaming that, but just a little odd. It's towards the end of the 911 call. And then after that, his demeanor pretty much changes to more calm,
Ma'am, not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay.
So it went from that, or it goes to this, but it went from this.
They're not, neither one of them's moving.
Oh, and there's one more thing. Okay, so he tells them that they're dead. They're dead. She asks, can you do anything? And he says they're dead. There's one more thing I wanted to play. Okay, so after telling the 911 call operator that, they're dead, let's just watch this one last little bit.
And does...
Okay, all right.
And does...
Pickup truck. That's your son, Paul? Okay.
Somebody going to check them?
Yes, sir. They've already checked them.
They did check them?
Yes, sir.
This is official that they're dead?
Yes, sir. That's what it looks like. I'm sorry. No, you're
So after telling the 911 operator they're dead, you know, it's over. He does this at least 2 times, maybe 3 times at the very beginning when this guy came in. I just played one example, but he does it I think at least twice, maybe 3 times in the beginning of this first responder video, and just another one of many red flags that just doesn't come together. So let's see, what time is it? It's 4:21. So yeah, I'm doing a members only video. We're just kind of doing a mod appreciation. So all the mods, please kind of I think most of you guys are members. Come over and join the show. We're just gonna have a little show just saying thank you to the mods and their hard work, and get to a couple of your guys's chat here. So yeah, tomorrow we're gonna have Steve on. We've been having him on. We usually try to have him on at least once a week on Monday. He's the one that's been doing all the different experiments. Just doing an amazing job. Let's see if I could play you a little. Here's one where he was testing out, because some people are wondering, well, could you maybe he covered it up with a blue tarp, but that tarp would have been, even if the barrel was kind of sticking out some, it would still tear up the tarp, because it caused, at least with the shotgun, it causes such a big kind of explosion from the barrel that goes 360 degrees, and so you would end up with something like this. So that was a great test by Steve to kind of show that if he was holding the guns in the tarp or the raincoat, it probably would have shredded or something like this. So I think all the gunshot residue, in my opinion, is probably from him wrapping the guns up in it somehow. But that's just clearly speculation. But a bad actor, yeah. Thank you, Marie. That's so awesome. I appreciate all the amazing support. Of course, we have a new pet outro, so don't go anywhere just yet. We're going to play that here in just a second. Just a few quick updates. If you haven't seen my timeline video, I think most of you have, but if you haven't, I have the full timeline video. I feel pretty good about it. The only thing I wish I would have changed is it sounds like, because it's hard, with Alex, he's always changing the story, and it sounded like he was riding around with Paul in the side-by-side. But in the last 2, or at least in the interrogation video, he talks about they were driving around in the truck, which to me I think sounds more plausible. But then again, I don't know for sure. But other than that, I feel like it's a pretty good video. It's got all our control tests in it, so really happy about that. And so, like I said, Monday we have Steve on, and then we'll be trying to do some other experiments, maybe kind of, do a few things that one video I wanted to do is, we heard Harpillion say, okay, well, he was at the kennels, so okay, he lied. But so how, let's just say he's innocent, how does it work with Alex being at the kennels? How can we explain him being, a situation where he's there just minutes before the shooting happens, but, is innocent? Did he go and drive off right after the kennel video and didn't hear the gunshots and didn't decide to call Paul and Maggie? Well, actually, he did try to call, so I don't know. It's so hard. So that's something that we'll have to maybe do a video on or something like that. But thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. And like I said, I wish it would go a little longer, but I've got a special show for the members that I'm going to do, and then get ready for tomorrow's big show. So it will be probably at 8 p.m. We usually do a live Monday and Wednesday, and then I try to do Friday as well, and then kind of the weekends just depends on if there's content. So Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I called. Yep, texted her and called her. Hey, sweet dreams. Stick around as well. We'll have a members only live. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go ahead and get the outro ready. And you guys are amazing. I love you guys so much. And for the members, I'll see you in a bit. For the rest of you guys, thank you so much. And we will see you guys Monday.